The three gathering mechanisms. A shield protocol analysis of biblical remnant gathering. Introduction. How does the Almighty gather his scattered people? This question echoes through the prophets, from Isaiah to Ezekiel to Zechariah. The answer, hidden in plain sight across 658 verses, reveals not one mechanism, but three. And these three work together in sequence, like movements in a divine symphony. Today we examine what the shield protocol analysis has uncovered: the whistle, the trumpet, and the breath. Three distinct mechanisms. Three phases of one unified gathering program. Our analysis draws from the Hearts to Fathers Universal Text Version, based on the Charles Thomson Septuagint translation of 1808. We examine passages from Isaiah, Ezekiel, Zechariah, Joel, and Revelation, applying systematic pattern recognition to identify how Scripture describes the remnant's return. What emerged challenges a common assumption. Many treat these gathering mechanisms as competing alternatives. Some emphasize the trumpet of the last day. Others focus on the Spirit's work in Ezekiel's valley. Still others point to Isaiah's signal lifted among the nations. But the textual evidence suggests something different. These are not alternatives. They are phases. The first mechanism, the whistle. Let us begin with the whistle. In Hebrew, the word is shirak. In Greek, it becomes samayan, meaning signal or standard. This is the divine beacon that captures attention across vast distances. Zechariah chapter 10, verse 8 gives us the purest expression of this mechanism. Listen carefully to its threefold structure. I will make a signal for them and receive them, for I will redeem them, and they shall multiply as they have done. Notice the sequence: signal, then receive, then redeem. The signal comes first. It is the invitation, not the ingathering itself. The whistle captures attention. It says, in effect, look here. Something is happening. Turn and see. Isaiah chapter 5, verse 26 expands this imagery. Therefore he will erect a standard among the nations far off, and summon them from the extremity of the earth. And behold, with speed they are coming swiftly. The standard serves as a rallying point. It creates urgency. It provides direction. The geographic scope is remarkable, the extremity of the earth. This is no local gathering. This is global. Isaiah chapter 11, verse 12 adds crucial specificity. And he will erect a standard for the nations, and gather together the outcasts of Israel, and assemble the dispersed of Judah from the four quarters of the earth. The four quarters. Complete geographic coverage. Every direction. No one left behind who responds to the signal. But here is something unexpected. Isaiah chapter 49, verse 22 reveals that Gentile nations become instruments in this gathering. Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will lift up my hand to the nations, and I will erect my standard for the isles. And they shall bring your sons in their bosoms, and carry your daughters on their shoulders. The nations respond to the signal and become carriers of Israel's children. Sons carried in bosoms, daughters on shoulders. This implies those who cannot walk on their own, the young, the weak, perhaps even the spiritually dead who must be carried before they can walk. The whistle mechanism, then, functions as visual beacon, auditory summons, and covenant invitation. It precedes and initiates gathering, but does not accomplish it alone. It is phase one. The second mechanism, the trumpet. The trumpet is the second mechanism. In Hebrew, shofar. In Greek, salpinx. This is not the initial signal, but the authoritative blast that commands response. The trumpet announces that the time has come. Of all the trumpet passages in our analysis, Isaiah chapter 27, verse 13 stands as the anchor text. It achieves what we call full Trinity convergence, meaning it integrates all three elements of the dominion framework: identity, inheritance, and priesthood. Listen, and it shall come to pass in that day that the great trumpet shall be sounded, and those shall come who are perishing in the land of Assyria, and they who are perishing in Egypt, and shall bow the knee to the Lord in the holy mountain at Jerusalem. Several elements demand attention. First, this is called the great trumpet, using the Greek superlative. This is no ordinary blast. Second, the recipients are described as those perishing. The Greek word is apolumenoi, a present participle indicating ongoing destruction. These are not merely scattered but actively dying. Third, the locations are Assyria and Egypt, the two great exile destinations in Israel's history. Fourth, the destination is the holy mountain at Jerusalem, the priestly center. Fifth, the action is bowing the knee, worship, and submission. This verse integrates everything: identity through covenant address, inheritance through Jerusalem and the holy mountain, priesthood through worship. This is the anchor text for trumpet-gathered remnant theology. Joel chapter 2, verse 1 adds another dimension. This is the only verse in our entire corpus that carries both trumpet and breath spirit tags at full convergence. Blow the trumpet in Zion, make proclamation on my holy mountain, and let all the inhabitants of the land be alarmed. For the day of the Lord is approaching, for it is near. The trumpet sounds in Zion. The proclamation goes forth from the holy mountain. And all this connects to the famous Spirit outpouring passage later in Joel chapter 2. The trumpet announces, the Spirit empowers. These are not alternatives, but complementary aspects of the same program. Zechariah chapter 9, verse 14 shows the Lord himself as trumpet sounder. Let but the Lord be against them, and he will dart out like a thunderbolt. The Lord Almighty will sound a trumpet and march in the billow of his threat. The image is martial, the Lord as divine warrior leading the charge. His trumpet is not merely announcement, but battle cry. The trumpet mechanism functions as assembly announcement, divine voice, judgment herald, and worship summons. It declares that the time has come. It is phase 2, the third mechanism, the breath. The breath is the third and final mechanism. In Hebrew, ruach. In Greek, pneuma. This is the vivifying power that imparts life to dead bones. The signal captured attention. The trumpet announced assembly. The breath accomplishes resurrection. Ezekiel chapter 37 contains the definitive breath mechanism passage. Let's walk through it carefully. Verse 1 sets the scene. Then the hand of the Lord came upon me, and the Lord led me out in spirit, and set me in the midst of a plain which was full of human bones. Notice that Ezekiel is led in spirit, in pneumatai. The Spirit enables vision before enabling resurrection. Verse 5 announces what is coming. Thus saith the Lord to these bones, Behold, I will bring upon you a breath of life. The breath is promised before enacted. The prophetic word precedes pneumatic action. Declaration, then demonstration. Verse 9 gives the command that changes everything. Then he said to me, Prophesy to the wind. Prophesy, Son of man, and say to the wind, Thus saith the Lord from the four winds, Come and blow on these dead, and let them live. The prophet is commanded to prophesy to the wind itself, to the Spirit itself. And notice, from the four winds. The same geographic totality we saw in Isaiah's four quarters. Complete coverage, universal reach. Verse 10 records the result. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and breath came into them, and they became alive and stood on their feet, an exceeding great multitude. Alive, standing, an exceeding great multitude. Physical resurrection language applied to corporate Israel. But verse 14 adds the crucial inheritance connection. When I have opened your graves that I may bring up my people out of the graves, I will then put my breath in you, and you shall live. And I will settle you in your own land, and you shall know that I am the Lord. I have spoken, and I will perform, saith the Lord. The breath mechanism is explicitly tied to inheritance. I will settle you in your own land. Resurrection is not disembodied. It results in territorial restoration. Life leads to land. The breath mechanism functions as prophetic enablement, life giver to dead bones, resurrection agent, and land restoration power. It accomplishes what signal and trumpet announced. It is phase 3, the fortress connection. Before we synthesize these mechanisms, we must consider the Davidic typology that frames this entire gathering program. 1 Chronicles chapter 11, verse 7. And David made his abode in the fortress, for which cause he called it the city of David. The parallel in 2 Samuel chapter 5, verse 7 identifies this fortress as Zion. What David captured became both royal seat and sacred center. The Davidic pattern establishes a threefold sequence. First, David captures the fortress through military action. Second, David names it City of David, establishing identity. Third, David brings the ark, installing priestly presence. Capture, name, consecrate. This mirrors our gathering mechanism sequence. The signal is like the military beacon. The trumpet announces identity and covenant. The breath installs pneumatic priesthood. What David did physically, Messiah accomplishes spiritually. Revelation chapter 14, verse 1 shows the eschatological fulfillment. And I saw, and behold, the Lamb standing on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his name and his Father's name written on their foreheads. The Lamb on Zion completes what David began. The 144,000 are the gathered remnant. The name written seals their identity. Mount Zion secures their inheritance. The sequential pattern. Now we can see the complete picture. The three mechanisms operate in sequence, not competition. Phase 1. The whistle captures attention across distance. It is the signal lifted among the nations. It says, "Look here, turn and see." Phase 2. The trumpet announces assembly. It declares the time has come. It summons the perishing from Assyria and Egypt to the holy mountain. Phase 3. The breath accomplishes resurrection. It imparts life to dead bones. It enables those who heard the trumpet to actually respond. The evidence for this sequential pattern is compelling. First, Joel chapter 2 verse 1 contains both trumpet and breath spirit tags at full convergence, suggesting these mechanisms operate together in transition. Second, there is zero co-occurrence between whistle and trumpet in our analysis. They are distinct phases, not simultaneous actions. Third, the Ezekiel 37 sequence itself shows the pattern. Vision through spirit, then prophecy, then assembly of bones, then breath, then life. The breath comes last, after bones are assembled. Fourth, consider Isaiah 27:13 again. Those perishing respond to the trumpet. But if they're perishing, actively dying, they need the breath to actually move. The trumpet summons what only the breath can enable. Conclusion. What does this mean for us today? If the mechanisms are sequential, we can ask, where are we in the sequence? The signal has been raised. For 2,000 years, the gospel standard has stood among the nations. The invitation has gone forth. Look here, turn and see. The trumpet is sounding. Prophetic voices announce that the time is approaching. The day of the Lord draws near. The breath awaits full deployment. The Spirit has been poured out, but the great resurrection, the dry bones standing as an exceeding great multitude that lies ahead. The remnant is not gathered by whistle or trumpet or breath, but by whistle, then trumpet, then breath. A coordinated divine operation that captures attention, announces assembly, and imparts the life necessary to respond. This is the hope set before us. The same Lord who makes the signal will sound the trumpet. The same Lord who sounds the trumpet will breathe life into dry bones. And those bones will stand. An exceeding great multitude, gathered from the four quarters, settled in their own land, bowing the knee on the holy mountain. He has spoken. He will perform.